A lot has been happening in Russia since President Vladimir Putin managed to get through his proposed constitutional reforms in a referendum and cleared his way to be in power till 2036. On one hand, opposition has been growing against Putin in different parts of Russia, and on the other, Putin's fiercest rival, Alexei Navalny, has announced the closure of his anti-corruption foundation, the FBK, in the face of increased scrutiny. Russia's main opposition leader, Alexei Navalny, is considered as the most vocal critic of President Putin. He has now announced that he will be shutting down his anti-corruption fund named FBK. Announcing the closure, Navalny said that this was due to increased scrutiny and hefty lawsuits filed against his organization. He said that a heavy crackdown by the government agency have forced him to do so. Navalny, however, said that he will keep up his opposition to Putin and soon establish a new organization. The FBK has till now produced several high-profile investigations into alleged corruption among the top government officials. The Russian police has also been carrying out several raids on Navalny's offices, which many called the government's efforts to quash dissent. Navalny has also been banned from leaving the capital Moscow as part of a new criminal case filed against him. Navalny says that the authorities want to prevent him from traveling across the country to prevent him from mustering support against Putin. While on one side, Putin is using all his power to put down his political opponents, he faces a much bigger force rising against him, that is, his own people. Anti-Putin protests have been growing in the far eastern region of the country. Protests, which started over the arrest of the region's popular governor, Sergei Furgal, have snowballed into protests against President Putin himself. In an effort to put down these protests, Putin has now appointed a new acting governor for this region. Mikhail Dygyarov has been appointed as the acting head of Khabarovsk, giving Putin-led Kremlin a direct hand into controlling the events in this region. Public anger against Putin administration has also been pouring onto the streets in the capital Moscow. People are protesting against the arrest of former journalist and then an advisory to the Russian space agency Ivan Safronov. Now, Safronov has been accused of sharing state secrets with other nations and charged with treason. Several other journalists have come out on the streets to demand his release. Protests in general have also been cropping up in other parts like St. Petersburg against the new constitutional reforms. WION correspondent Julia Chapman sent us this report from Moscow.
Critics are certainly accusing the Russian government of a renewed crackdown on opposition voices since that vote on constitutional changes at the beginning of July. There have been a number of high-profile arrests, and now this news has come from Alexei Navalny, one of his most vocal critics, that he will be shutting down his anti-corruption foundation. This is an organization that has carried out a number of investigations into corruption among Russian officials and Russian oligarchs, and has often been met with very heavy lawsuits for defamation, which have often sided with those complaining against the FBK. And he has been met, Alexei Navalny and his organization have been met with very large fines, which they often fundraise in order to pay. This time, though, he says that's no longer feasible. He's been met with a fine for $1.2 million against the organization that he doesn't actually run, but is backed by him and his team. And he says that is simply too much money for the organization to pay. They say that it will be simpler to liquidate the entire organization and start afresh. But he says he's not going to back down from criticizing the government, from carrying out investigations into high-profile figures in the Russian government.